My name is Cdale Enick. This is Markus, and tonight we are joined by special guest Delores Bahr.
Yeah.
Our little sister. And we are talking haunted dolls. You were listening to Fallen Hour Radio.
Wanna play?
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
If you're not of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, you're not welcome here.
In the middle of the night, ghosts tried to talk to me.
It's interdimensional, so we are living in a multi-dimensional environment.
He's bending down, doing something. He says he sees a shadow. He turns around and there's nobody there.
The power of Christ compels you.
I want you to tell me whether you remember what happened to you when you died.
I went blind. Then I had an hemorrhage and I fell asleep. And I died in a chair in the corner downstairs.
How can we kill you, God?
By me, God.
How was that?
That was good enough.
Is that right?
He never. What? How do you think he should do the intro? Do you think he should do the intro one time?
You should.
Markus never does it.
I don't.
Getting real tired of this guy.
I know.
This little guy over here.
This old bag of bones.
So we're talking about haunted dolls, and I got a little bit of backstory on some lore, but we do have a couple of haunted dolls here that have some stories behind them. We picked them up, last year? From an inflicted family that had them, I guess, and they wanted to get rid of them, and we offered them some money, got the dolls as a pair.
They were just trying to give it to you, weren't they?
I don't know. I offered them money already, so...
Yeah, she was just trying to give them away, and then he's like, well, tell her we'll buy them. And I was like, idiot.
Didn't know that. Where is it? Okay. So, I mean, let's talk about the backstory on these dolls. Like, how did you come across them?
Well, I don't know. She just kind of reached out because I was saying that my Chucky doll was haunted, that big one back there. And then she was asking what he was doing, like what was happening in the room. And then she's like, yeah. She's like, well, my daughter has a Chucky and a Tiffany doll, and it's like messing with their baby. In this message, she said, we laid the baby down on the bottom bunk to sleep, and not even 5 minutes later, he's screaming. Said, so we go in the room, and there's a blanket and a pillow on the baby. Said, and my baby's wrapped up too, and the top bunk blanket was like hanging off, and they were like, what the fuck? And they thought it was just the house. But then they realized it was the dolls that was doing it because it was in that room. It was in her older daughter's room.
It was wherever these dolls were. Oof.
Yeah, she said that they never had anything happen until now, and I guess after they got rid of them, their house has been fine.
Wow. Ugh. And I think that's around the time we had some upkick too, which happens in the house anyways.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're used to getting things, and we have like upticks for like at least like a month or two, and then things kind of settle down. That's happened with these dolls too.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of really kicked up once you got those dolls.
Yeah.
Like it got pretty crazy.
Yep. And then now it's been calm. Nothing's happening. Nothing has happened.
Well, you had them put away too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Hidden behind the couch.
Yeah.
he was so afraid of me, stuffed them behind the couch.
I'm not afraid of them.
I know Tiffany's neck's all messed up. She's like,
I know. We gotta get them. Well, you kind of fix them up a little bit.
a little.
So we have this one is one of them, right? And the other one
It's over here.
Yeah,
right.
this one.
And I want to get the like special boxes for them made, and then put like the backstory and things on them. Put them out. Be something cool.
We actually did an experiment with that. Remember?
Yeah.
With the Chucky doll and the Tiffany doll.
Yeah.
You want to tell them what
box.
happened?
So you should tell that story. You remember most of it.
What when you? Well, I don't know. You just placed the spirit, or it was a necrophonic app, and you put it on top of Chucky, and then like a real deep demonic voice came through.
It growled at us.
It like really loud growl. Like the second you put it on there, and it growled real loud.
I remember that.
My God. And he had to have it like hooked up to a stereo system, so it was really
loud. Like really loud. It was all dark in the kitchen.
And I just remember putting those the equipment on it. like your meters and everything, and those things started spiking. Remember?
And then we had the idea.
I think I have videos from that on my Snapchat.
Yeah, we had the idea of maybe let's bring out my doll and the Egyptian artifact that I had and put that into play.
Yeah, I remember you having it all on the table, and everything just started kind of going crazy. But the second you took it off of that doll and put it on the Tiffany doll, it was like dead silent.
Yeah.
I remember it was dead silent for a while, and then you started hearing a woman's voice coming through when it was on the Tiffany doll.
Right.
But it wasn't as aggressive as this one. Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, I wonder they got it from a store, right?
Yeah, or I think they had ordered it.
Okay, it's like these dolls are new, they're shell. But what sort of things could be happening either around the house in their life that could inhabit the doll? There's like
he was looking for something to inhabit,
right?
I think
just got attached,
and that's like the whole thing that goes to Chinese culture. I think it's Chinese or Japanese. I was looking into it, and both have some sort of similarities to each other. The Chinese believe that their dolls inhabited, I think, past relatives, or bad spirits, things like that, and they even do this with houses. So they say that if you live in a big house, there's a horror movie about it too, where this family buys this big house and they get haunted, and they realize that everyone in the neighborhood, the locals, are living in small houses, and they ask about it. And this is actual Chinese culture: is they build these big houses, these mansions, so that spirits, like relatives of theirs, they think go and live and inhabit that house. Same thing with the dolls. Is they believe that dolls they're an empty shell. That's why they're made of porcelain. Mm-hmm. And they're made of porcelain so that souls can inhabit those dolls.
Fun fact.
And I was looking at the Japanese. There's a practice in Japan called hina-akuri.
Yeah.
That occurs about 100. It's been consisting of about 1,000 years, where young girls would place paper dolls on. Let me see here.
Your glasses.
I know, wicker saucers, and the idea around that is whatever's afflicting the family, whether that be disease or things of that nature in the household, turmoil, things like that. They would have these young girls give them these dolls. They put them on these wicker saucers, and they would float down river. And their whole thought process around that is that the reason they do that is to keep away the bad spirits that are doing that to the family. So their thought process is that these spirits that are whether inhabiting the household or, I guess, associating with certain family members is afflicting the entire family. And it's causing them disease and sickness, things of that nature in the house. So they put those dolls and they float away.
So would they just like make a host for it,
right?
To go into,
so. Right?
Is there a reason why they have the women do it?
I don't know,
because
I looked into that and there wasn't really much about why the little girls do it.
Like a lot of stuff I looked into about paranormal activity in homes and everything. It seems to be really around the women. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And they said like maybe it could be because of all your hormones and stuff raging.
Oh, of course, it's like a whole
that
thing
kind of
about
stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of ties into all that, but for some reason that kind of spikes a lot of things around women. So I was wondering if that was like the reason why they had the women do it or whatever. But
I don't know.
I have to really look into that. But
it's
don't quote me on that. Yeah,
because we're so dramatic.
He said we.
But this, so I mean, we have a culture that's Japanese, Japanese culture, and for 1,000 years they believe that these spirits, the reason that they're having sickness in the house, are because of these spirits.
Yeah,
and that it comes into like mainstream beliefs too. Is if you have a ghost in the house or a ghost,
demonic presence,
quote unquote ghost. But if you have a spirit in the house or have something that you would attribute as spiritual attributes, whether that's like sense or smelling or things of that nature, is they attribute those happenings with a bad spirit, and they try to give it that's what it is. They give it a host and they send it off downriver.
Yeah. I wonder if the reason why they put it, like make it paper, is so it like dissolves and basically destroys it.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's
kind
of where my mind was going when you were talking about
your mind
being made of paper.
Your mind goes everywhere. Yeah, I know. All right, so you had a story about Japan too, about a girl with a doll.
Yeah. There was a story back in like 1918 where this guy, he came home to visit his family and he saw this doll, like, you know, in the window of a store, and it was a little porcelain doll, and he buys it for his little sister. She was like 2 years old, and he brings it to her, and, you know, she becomes attached to this thing like right off the bat, and she has it with her all the time. She sleeps with it. She eats with it. Everywhere she goes, she has it. Mm-hmm. And she ended up even naming this thing Akiku, the same, you know, her same name. Mm-hmm. And about a year later, she ended up passing away when she was 3 years old. And they wanted to bury this doll with her, but they weren't allowed to. So they ended up keeping it and putting it with her family, like, what do they call that? Kind of like a little shrine that they have, kind of to honor their family and stuff. They had that doll sitting there. And around her birthday, they started noticing activity kind of happening in their house, like banging on the walls, knocking, voices, stuff like that going on. And they kind of started noticing this doll, its hair started to grow. The doll's hair was actually about your length, like shoulder length hair, and its hair started growing.
Gross.
Yeah. It got to the point where it would be like waist, like down to its waist. Mm-hmm. And they ended up trimming its hair all the time. And they took this thing to like to priests and stuff like that, and you know, asking them about it and everything. And they ended up keeping this doll for a while. I think it was like in 1938 or something when they decided to finally, you know, they're going to move. They were afraid to move this doll because they're afraid it was going to like anger it or something. So they actually had these priests and stuff take care of the doll for them. So they actually have it still. And I think it's in a museum now, but this doll,
I think it's a temple.
Yeah, it's some kind of temple, but the hair still grows to this day, and they have to trim it all the time. And they usually around the day she, like her birthday, and around the day she passed away, the activity really kicks up around this doll. And the creepy thing is, the doll's mouth started opening, and it's a porcelain doll.
What the heck?
They noticed the mouth was start slowly open, and you could start to see like it looks like infant teeth growing out of this doll. Now, like that was like one of the creepiest like haunted doll stories I've ever came across.
The priests still trim her hair.
Yeah.
And when they noticed that it was starting to grow, they noticed that it was starting to grow at the rate, because I guess specialists went and looked at it, and it was growing at the same rate as a 3-year-old's hair would grow.
Yeah.
About 25 centimeters or so, and they would chop it from there.
They even did tests on the hair. They noticed the hair started to look different as it was growing out. And when they tested it, they said it was actually like toddler. They found like traces of human DNA and like a toddler in this doll. So I was like, that is just literally like trying to wrap your head around that. Is like one of the weirdest stories I've ever heard.
Like there's no way to debunk that.
I know. Like how? Like it's been how long now?
Yeah.
And it's still doing it to
like
this
a couple
day.
100 years or 100 years?
Walk in, someone's gluing hair.
I know. I know, but I was like, just so freaking strange. Like that's like one of the weirdest things.
Rubbing Rogaine on it.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. But yeah, I was like, I found that like just fascinating because that is strange. That is one of the weirdest things.
So we have we have many of Dolores's dolls here, but one in particular I've had an experience with. Also, Alethea had an experience with. And she brought them over because we wanted to see them, and I think she just got it, and she set it on my desk behind us. And we have this Snapchat, and I could probably post it up. I have it, but so Chucky, the one right in the middle, and,
the creepiest looking one,
he's facing kind of like away from us, and Alethea takes a picture with me, and we take another picture like a couple seconds later, and the doll is facing us.
Yeah, it was like 3 seconds of that. She snapped a picture. She said she looked at it and then snapped another one.
It was looking right. It was freaking weird.
And I remember getting that, like her showing me that picture.
Yeah.
When I was at work, and it was like it creeped me out because I was by myself at work. I was just getting creeped out.
But it's like, why do you think dolls are a go-to for spirits?
It's like they're trying to attach to something that's human, like a human-like form.
I guess that would make sense.
And that they, you know, I can't remember the actual phobia it is, pedophobia or something like that. I'm probably way off, but
yeah, it sounds gross.
like I know, I thought that too. But with dolls, like it's like a fear of dolls, and looking into it, it's like because it's something that's so close to being human-like, but not you can't read them like you read a normal person.
Right.
Like if you look at somebody, you can read if they're if they're happy or if they're sad or if they're mad or anything like that. Like a doll, you can't, and that's like one of the things that people find most creepy and unsettling is you don't know what these things, what their faces are, thinking or this or that. And that's why people are most afraid of like dolls.
So what was was there another story that went along with these Chucky dolls that we got?
With these ones?
Yeah.
I don't think it was, they said they just noticed activity picking up in their house.
Wasn't there something about when their kid was in the shower or something, or
something with the bathroom? I think,
like
I'm not sure.
Her hair was getting pulled or something, and they heard a voice behind the shower curtain.
I don't remember.
Was that one of these ones?
It was a while ago, yeah.
Might have been.
Yeah, because I remember you telling me about that, and it had to do with these Chucky dolls. Yeah.
She was talking about her nephew was staying with them. Said he heard whispering in my room when he was in the shower, and the bathroom is right next to my room, and his side started burning, and it was scratched up.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Oof.
And that speaks to more like a demonic activity that you would associate with demons. Is ghost, demon, it's like it's synonymous.
Kind of go hand in hand, right, there.
Yeah. But they like to do the scratching, and people do say that
just them solely. They like to do the scratching.
Yeah, and it burns. It's like everyone who investigates things and they come across what they would call a demon is they experience that burning sensation.
Yeah.
The reason that, mimicking or mimicking a person, though, that's different. Like it's like is it something that happened around the house? Is it the past relative or something? Is it taking on their traits and trying to do things like that? You know what I mean? It was a cat.
I know. I saw it jump on the. I just saw something black move, and it was the cat.
Yeah, Susan.
Yeah.
But I think dolls are really interesting in a sense that in culture, every culture, most every culture has dolls tied into their whether that's their folklore or their beliefs. Even down here in Crow Reservation, they have dolls that they construct.
Yeah.
Chinese have dolls, Japanese have dolls, Egyptians have dolls, which we have. And you said you found something on the Egyptian doll that I have.
Yeah. Like, I want to do a whole episode on that thing, but if you want to get into that now.
Yeah, let's do that. Touch on that.
Yeah, like when he got this thing, we noticed that there was a lot of activity sparking around that freaking doll. We did experiments with it. All this equipment went haywire around it. We saw light anomalies going around it, coming from it, and setting off his SB11 and your temperature and everything. We noticed the temperature would drop when these anomalies would fly from it to the SB11. People were seeing somebody walk around in the background when there was nobody back there.
Yeah,
stuff like that. And even one time he had that doll laying on the table while we were wrapping up. We just finished doing an interview of somebody. Yeah. And it sounded like something got thrown, but I didn't see anything get thrown. I just remember you in there wrapping up cords, Alethea standing there with an with the SB11.
Yeah.
While voices were coming through, and she was talking to them, and she jokingly said, "I'm not talking to you. I was talking to the other voice," and it pissed it off because his chandelier literally broke in half and
that's
came
that one
falling.
That's not covered.
Yeah. We heard something go tink, and then
the glass literally just broke in half and fell right where this mummy doll was laying. And what I found out was that doll that he has is actually something that the Egyptians used. It's not what they use it for is for the people that have passed on. So there's like, an inscription written on it. It's not for you to read. It's for the spirits to read. And what they do is they recite whatever is on that doll. Everybody gets one when they pass away. And the richer you are, the more you have. Some people have like 11 dolls. Some have like 30 dolls.
Their death rituals are strange. I mean, they'll have things like mummy beads, little Anubises, things like that. I mean, like a bunch of them just put at their feet. And I guess these dolls are one of those artifacts.
Yeah. And what this doll is the spirit, if it has anything that they didn't finish, unfinished business when they passed away, what they do is they say that prayer or whatever it is that's written on the doll.
They call it spells.
Yeah, it's like a spell. And what it does, it awakens the spirit that's in that doll. And that goes and does whatever it is that they didn't get to finish. So basically it's the spirits are calling on this doll to wake it up and have it go do things for them.
And that was one of the weird things that happened was one of the first times you were here. Remember that? We got the idea because we just got the Necrophonic app. We just have our paranormal equipment. We were just now getting to use it finally.
Yeah.
Just got back from Colorado. I remember getting this doll, and I never touched it when this guy wrapped it up and everything, gave it to me. Never touched the actual mummy until I think we were outside of In-N-Out Burger or something. And I posted it. And I said, I'm not going to open this till I get home, but I couldn't help it. I had to open it. And I remember the feeling I got holding that doll. It almost felt like a good luck charm in a sense.
You're floating, holding it.
Break it in the car. But that's what it felt like to me when I was holding it. It was like the weirdest thing ever. Like I've never experienced. I've only experienced certain things like that.
Like, well, you're almost feeling like fascinated and attached to it.
Yeah, something. I've only had another experience I had.
What people always do when they have something that's haunted, they start getting kind of
attached,
drawn to it.
Yeah, drawn to it.
And the only other time I can maybe match that experience with when I held that doll, actual like to my skin,
is when I held my own child.
Is to my birds and my boy.
Talking about the verticoy.
So we'll get back to this doll. Keep that thought. But these they're Middle Eastern men. They had like turbans and things. They're sitting in Pizza Hut. And I think it told this story.
Yeah, you did.
And they were the coolest people I've ever seen walk into Pizza Hut because I was a waiter there for like a year or so. I think it was like 18, 17. And these guys walk in and they sit down, and one's wearing all black, one's wearing all white, and like just head to toe, their shoes and everything, and their jewelry. They had like crazy jewelry on, chains and things, and they had glasses, like dark glasses. And they said that's
sunglasses.
Yeah. And I remember the aroma they had on them was like really strong. Like it wasn't perfume. It was like
their oils.
Like oils, yeah. And they said that's your table. I was like, okay, so that's cool. I'll go talk to these guys. And I remember their order. They got nothing but jalapenos in their pizzas. But I remember looking at them and being fascinated. Walking towards them, though within 8 feet, it felt like I was falling into the ground while I was walking to them. And I felt like I couldn't make it to their table, but it just felt like I was sinking as I was going to them, like I couldn't like really breathe or anything. And I got there to their table, and from there, once I was in front of them, I was fine. But I could still feel like this like weird, like I was tingling kind of thing. I was like, I've never looked into their culture. I don't know what they believe in. I never looked into different belief systems or things that they could carry with them, things like that. But that's the only thing I guess I could attribute to that, the feeling of that doll. Like nothing's really made me feel that way, experiencing it. Like meeting them was like an experience.
Yeah.
And I never told anybody in there that story either until like way later.
The only thing I can say that was similar that I've experienced is when I saw the Dybbuk box at Zach Bagans.
Yeah.
And when I went around this thing, I walked in the room, and they kind of prepare you, and you watch a video and everything of all the things that could happen. And they ask you if you want to go in there or not. You know, you don't have to. And this was after he opened it. So this thing was open. And I remember walking in there, and when I went to walk around it, it was like, it was almost like I was wearing weighted shoes, like there was magnets on the ground, and my feet were, had magnets on them. it felt like I could barely pick my feet up and
You just felt heavy.
It felt like I couldn't even move, like I couldn't get away from this thing. Like I went and it was like my feet were just dropping like this. And I was like trying really hard to like
It's like how
look
you
normal.
feel like you're walking in a dream.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like when you're trying to run from something you can't.
You're just running sideways.
Spoiler: Mark didn't go to Zach Bagans' museum.
But no, it was like that's the only time I've ever felt that is when I was around he has 2 of them, and it was around the big one that he had, and it was just so weird. Like when I was walking around, I was trying to move away, and it was like my feet were getting stuck to the ground.
Wow.
And it just, as soon as I got away from this thing, I felt normal. Like I felt like I'm walking.
You can buy Dybbuk boxes.
Yeah.
I was looking into those. I wanted to get one.
Don't do it.
Don't do
But
that.
you just can't open it.
Oh my god, you'd be dumb enough to open it though.
But people that do get the Dybbuk boxes is they get them from weird websites. But when they do get them,
Some creepy guy in
when
the alley.
I know.
so a Dybbuk box is a spirit inhabiting the box. They trap a demon or a Dybbuk. It's actual spirit, the Dybbuk. And they put artifacts in there, whether that's like old photos or a hairbrush or things like that inside the box.
I can't remember what was in that box when he opened it, but I remember watching that episode and something crawled out of it.
Weird.
Yeah,
I
you never seen that
No.
one? Yeah, you have to find that episode. But when he finally opens it up and something comes out, he has his what camera is that where it maps out figures?
It's like stick figures.
Yeah, and
we're looking at
came
those.
out of that thing. Yeah,
We're trying to get one. Yeah.
And that's what came out, and it was just like when you open it up, you can see it like sitting in there when he opened the doors,
so
and it's just
Well,
so
remember
gross,
when
man.
Post Malone went there and
Yeah.
he didn't touch it?
Yeah, I
and
think
after that
he touched Zach, I think.
Yeah,
when Zach
he
was
like
touching it.
got in a car accident.
Yeah, like right after.
Like he
Yeah.
could have died.
Wow.
He said he felt like he was cursed after that.
And something happened to his plane, I think.
Yeah, all this stuff started happening to him after they opened that box up. And he felt like he was cursed. But yeah, that was in one of the videos we got to watch there.
Wow.
But that was the only time I ever felt something like that.
And they usually seal it in wax.
Yeah.
The Dybbuk boxes, as the seams on the box, they put it in wax. Then you're supposed to like cut it open and release the Dybbuk.
Well, remember with your mummy, you looked up how to say hello in Egyptian.
Oh, that's right. That was
Is it
that was
Ahalan?
yeah.
And
that was the
Did you
story.
just have to say that? He probably
Yeah.
just
Ahalan, yeah.
see that case start
Ahalan.
shaking in the background.
I start floating again.
Well, like the EVP started going off like
Yeah.
crazy.
Right. That was
And
the
then
thing.
the
Said
spirit
that.
box, like something came through. Like, oh, my voice. Something came through. It was like a really deep voice.
Yeah.
And it had an accent. Like,
Yeah, that's
And
right.
it was,
and it was saying like Egyptian words, and we were trying to look them up and like trying to like find different sentences to say to it.
Right. Our experiment was, and that was the thing. That was what I was trying to get to. Is when I brought it home, we were excited for it, and we had the idea like maybe we should look up Egyptian words and Google and see if we can talk to it. So we found a Google Translate, and we were to type in our sentences and play the actual pronunciation on the screen, and it would speak those words to.
And the kitchen got like cold, like
Yeah,
super
really
cold.
weird.
Like
Yeah.
just your feet felt like ice.
I remember that.
Like I've never talked to it, so I think that would be something like for later on when we can move this thing out of the house. Is to have somebody read the actual letters in the thing,
Oh,
or
yeah.
have.
It's not free to read, remember?
I mean, talk. What I mean is talking to the SB11 and have them read the words on the.
So you're asking the spirit or the dead person that's attached to it to read it for you?
You
No,
come in,
and
your
wake up
furniture's floating.
No.
No, reaching out to, because it's possible to reach out to Egyptian spirits, because we figured that out.
I remember
And
you
having
even
them read it.
You sent me a picture. You have this thing in a case, and you have all kinds of crystals and stuff in there with it.
Yeah.
And he heard a noise, and some of the things in there were broken inside the case.
Yeah, I have it. I have the picture somewhere. I gotta find it, but it's bound.
It was
And I
moved
have-
too.
And I used to have these wooden pieces going around the binding, and it would lock up top.
Yeah.
On the top, on the feet, and on the chest.
Well, what was in the case with it?
I had crystals in there, like different
Just crystals?
Yeah, a bunch of crystals around it. I put some things that would be Egyptian. Lapis, I think I had in there, which is a huge Egyptian stone. Things like that were associated with Egypt, and I put those around it. And that one night I heard this like weird like that. I was looking around for the longest time, couldn't find nothing, so I just thought nothing of it. And the next day, I was cleaning, I think, and I thought maybe I should clean the case because I usually like wipe it down or something when I'm cleaning glass. And I noticed that everything was moved around in there. The mummy was out of place, and those wooden pieces are broken, like snapped. And I sent him the picture.
Yeah, a Shabbat doll. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
The spirit probably started reading that thing and then it just reacted.
I was trying to get out. He had it tied up.
It's like, why am I in this case?
I'm already bound.
Anchor man.
Yeah.
So this is our Halloween episode, and I think that it wouldn't be a Halloween episode without some ghost stories. And I know that, I mean, I think we talked about Bob on the episode before, right?
Don't bring him up. He's like Voldemort.
I know. You don't say his name.
You said his name the other day, so I thought it was
Robert.
all right.
Remember Bill? Bill?
Freak out.
What's that?
But, okay, so has anything ever happened with these dolls, like, that you noticed?
Well,
I remember you showing me a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
with the big one.
the big one, because there's like a thread going through to hold his overalls in place. And it was after, because we were here and we put this Chucky doll on your Ouija board.
Yeah.
And then remember it started talking really slow, because it does talk. And then how he says, "Hi, I'm Chucky, want to play?" real fast.
Yeah.
But when we put it on the Ouija board, it said, "Hi, I'm Chucky, wanna play?" Like real slow.
Wanna play?
And like all of us were like, "What the heck?" And he's like, "Does it do that?" I was like, "No." And it wasn't low on batteries or anything. It had new batteries. And after that night, I placed him on his box. And after that, I noticed his because I don't take him out of the box. Like this is like once in a lifetime.
Yeah.
But after I put him on his box, I noticed his overalls were like moved.
Yeah.
And there's like no way.
Yeah.
And I would always hear like tapping on his plastic.
Yeah.
And then
So
there was
gross.
an indent, like
Like
something
it was
hit it.
poking out
Yuck,
from
that's
inside the
gross.
box.
Yeah.
So like all the time, like randomly, we'll just hear random tapping.
You know what? So I'll just say that we had an experience a long time ago in our old apartment. And you guys don't know what I'm talking about? Had a prophet come and pray.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, so we had this huge experience, and people that were there knows it was a serious thing going on. But so before we had that experience, we noticed a lot of tapping going around the house, and it wasn't just our house either. It was we used to live with our sister-in-law, and we noticed tapping was happening there, but it was always
3.
yeah.
It's like mimicking.
So bad to the point to where me and Alethea were home alone, and we thought somebody was knocking on the back door. So I went back there to check, nobody out there, and it's like we for sure heard somebody knock. This happened about a year. Moved into the new apartment and thought everything was fine. Like that was weird, right? Didn't think anything of it, and then we started hearing it inside of the apartment. And these walls in this apartment were cement.
Yeah.
And we're hearing like tapping, dunk, 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 like around it's always like in the corner or by a window or something like that. You know what I mean? And then we started having some serious problems, and then that's when we had a prophet come and intervene.
Yeah.
And we had this huge thing happen.
Like it was so intense that even people moved out of that building.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah.
And I remember that.
And the story about this prophet too is we've had people there who were doing things upstairs. I think somebody was in like Indian medicine, and other ones were I think into doing something else. But this building always had this creepy feeling about it. And we had the basement apartment. It was big, like it was like huge, massive, but it just had this weird feeling. It didn't like going outside. We knew it. We never see our neighbors at all ever. And we would always come home, and this one, I think she was like a traveling nurse, but her door was always open and her TV's always blaring. And we'd never seen her. Just like her leaving, that's it, like outside. We never see anybody inside of the building. It was like just a really creepy feeling. But after this prophet came and prayed for the house, or the entire building, one of his prayers was from the foundation to the roof. He said, any spirits here, whatever like that, things like that, and any people here that have bad intentions or practicing certain things to leave.
Yeah.
And within a month, that building was cleared out.
Yeah.
And it was just us and that lady.
Yeah.
Weird.
You know, I heard a story about that same apartment that you were in.
Really, man, we had some weird experiences there too. Like us,
Which one was it?
It was that it's right across the street from the house that we lived in.
On
First
Cody.
lived in, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was right across the street, that apartment complex. And he was in the very bottom, the basement basically. And I even had somebody else tell me about that place.
Right?
Well, that kind of makes sense then, because if you said there's like bad people there and they all moved out.
Yeah.
Because I remember me and Gloria went to go, like, we're being stupid, went to egg houses during Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
And someone,
don't do that, kids.
Someone seen us in one of those windows, and Gloria like had her egg ready, and then we just dropped it and ran. And he ended up going to the house and pounding on the wall. But when we went out there, because it was like snow, there was no footprints.
That's so weird. Wow. Yeah. Well, me and I think Brent and Merble, we went to that house just to see, because it was creepy, the house, whatever. And we went downstairs in the basement and we got freaked out. So we went to there's a room, or there's a door on the bottom that gets you out. We went in there and we shut the door behind us and we got locked in there.
Ugh.
We couldn't get out. We were freaking out. It was pitch black in there. And then for maybe 10 minutes later, the door just opens.
Just open?
Yeah. That's a creepy.
Spirit was playing a prank.
But no, somebody told me a story of that same apartment that you lived in, and they said something about one day they ended up waking up, and there was a handprint on the ceiling, like it was black, almost like charred. Black handprint on the ceiling.
Wow.
In that apartment.
Weird.
Yeah. And a bunch of other stuff, but I can't remember. That was the only thing I could remember, because I thought that was really strange. They said it was almost like ash or something, like it was.
I wonder
charred.
if anybody was cremated.
I don't know, but that was just one story I remember hearing about that same apartment that you lived in.
Wow, that's gross.
It's pretty gross.
It's pretty gross. No, but I know that we've all grown up having.
Well, obviously we've all grown up.
It's the second time Markus did that to me.
You're almost 30.
Second time I used that joke.
He's getting old, just like you. But we've had some weird experiences growing up, and we talk about it on the podcast a lot. I mean, we were, I guess, around what you would consider paranormal our whole life. And I don't think we would be doing this podcast if it wasn't for Dad and Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Telling their stories to us. Because I think if it wasn't for our upbringing of, yes, we have the Christianity on this side, and everyone's preachers, ministers, and things of nature. But when it comes to Dad and their family, they like to talk about ghosts, Bigfoot, things of that nature. It's a whole
aliens.
Right, it's night and day. And growing up around that and watching ghost videos growing up, and I think they primed us to be open-minded to things. And I think that probably made us more sensitive to things as we were growing older. And we're able to pick up on certain things and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, even one of the most respected women of God in the churches that in our family was Grandma.
Yeah.
And she would even say, I think there is something out there, like that, when we bring up Bigfoot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because all the stories and stuff we heard growing up here, and all the stories she heard, even in Washington,
right.
We heard from mom's side of the family, Grandpa and them, are hearing all kinds of crazy stories.
And down that way, it's they're really big into stick Indians, and we covered that.
Yeah.
And it's like a Yeti type figure we figured out.
Yeah. There's different types of stick Indians, but yeah,
right.
that's one of them. That's one of the names for a Bigfoot.
Right.
Stick Indians.
Well, remember you were talking about one of our great grandmas or great great grandmas, the one that was a medicine woman?
Yeah.
And you said one of her medicines was spirits?
Was ghosts.
Yeah, and I was I wonder if that's why we're so attracted to it.
Maybe,
if it's
I don't know.
affected the family in some
way.
way.
She's the reason why that place in Crow is called Devil's Island. That's where she lived.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she had she even had a human skull on the top of her sweat.
Wow.
Yeah, she was people were afraid of her.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And that's her dresser at the house, that metal one.
Yeah, it's what I wanted, but Mark
I know. Just take all the knobs off. You can't open it.
He's all getting mad because Dad gave it to me. And he's
Yeah,
just
I had it. I had that on the podcast thing. I wanted that dresser.
I want it. And then Dad
Mom-
goes, "Oh yeah, you can go ahead and have it." And I
Mom was
like,
trying to change it now and say like, "Oh, just put all your names in a hat." And I was like, "No, because then fucking Al would end up with it or something. He don't need that."
Probably melt it down and sell it.
yeah. But she even ended up becoming a Christian at the end of her life.
Wow.
Yeah. And then she was kind of like talking about all that kind of stuff, you know. And
But wasn't she buried with all her stuff?
yeah, she didn't want anybody to have it, so she had them bury her with it.
And one of the more prominent ones we've known growing up about her is one of her medicines was to look young to young men.
Yeah, it was like a love spell.
And she was up there in age.
Yeah, they said she was really, really old. And all her husbands, it's like she outlived all her husbands, and all her husbands were in their 20s.
That's so strange.
I know. Like to them, she was the most beautiful person in the world. It's because she had this certain type of medicine.
But everyone else would see her as who she is.
Who she is, yeah. Just
wow.
That would have just been weird from like the outside looking
Right.
at it.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What are you doing?
Yeah, they said she was like old.
Like he's giving his grandma tongue.
Yeah, she
Their
like
sugar mama.
she didn't.
Gam.
Ew.
God, okay. But yeah, there's a whole lot to her, and a lot more like about like her story, even today. Like there's stuff that even goes on today that has to do with her, and I'll tell you guys about that later on. But it's totally insane, man. It's crazy. Like actually hearing all these stories about her.
And I talked to Peyote Sam, and he said he would come on and tell stories.
Ask him about her, because a lot of the things that I was told are from him.
I should
About
do that.
her.
Yeah, I got his.
Yeah.
Well, I got his phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
why'd
and
you bring up Bob?
I'm trying to get some ghost stories.
Oh.
Get ghost stories.
Why do you want me to tell one?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Well,
Let's make sure these cameras are.
Okay.
When did I do that?
Let go there. Make sure they're primed and ready to go.
All right.
Just go ahead and reset it anyway.
The prime time.
make sure they're nice and oiled.
Nice and lubey.
Ew.
Proceed.
Okay. So the first story I have of Bob was, I remember I messaged you because it was nothing would really happen around the house until Halloween, like the first year we were staying there. And I remember I messaged you because Dakota, he was leaving for work, and he said, hey, like housing is going to come and they're going to look at the roof. He's like, so if you hear anything, it's probably them. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I was home with Briseis, and she was just tiny at the time. And I start hearing someone on the roof, but it was like really loud, and it sounded like it was running, like they were running on the roof. I was like, what the hell are these guys doing, Oof. And it sounded like it would run, and then it would quiet, and then poof, like it jumped. Like they were jumping after they would run.
Like Krampus was on your head?
Like, yeah. And like, so I was like, what the hell are these guys doing? So I went and looked outside, and I didn't see their work truck. And then I went and opened the door, and their work truck, they're at someone else's house on their roof.
Oof.
And I was like, fuck. I was like, I swear if I turn around and look at the roof and there's nobody up there, I went and looked, there was nobody on the roof. And I ran back in the house, I locked the door, and I just went to the room. And then like I kept hearing that like all day, and I kept trying to record it. And I remember telling you,
Yeah.
I said, I was like, there's something on my roof. And you're like, we'll record it. And I tried, and it would stop. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna ignore it, whatever. And I started praying, and it stopped. And then I was going to get Briseis ready for the day. I got her outfit, went and set it on the couch, and it was folded. And then got her in the shower, wrapped her up in the towel, walked out, and her clothes were gone. What? And I was like, what the hell? I was like, I just set these down, and like I had a dog, Bucky, and I thought like, did he move it? Did he jump on the couch? And I was looking around, it was nowhere. It wasn't underneath.
He's wearing it.
I know. It's on his head. But I went and looked, and it was
He's
like
middle-legged.
I went and looked, and there was like, it wasn't behind the couch or underneath. And I was like, whatever. And went and got her new clothes. I just got her dressed in the room. And the second we walk out to go like have breakfast, her clothes are perfectly folded back on the couch.
What the hell?
And that was like the first experience I had with that ghost.
Yeah, I remember that one was like,
and
a
it moved.
lot of stuff happened with that
it
one.
moved with her. Mm-hmm. It followed him. I mean, we've had experiences here with Bob.
Yeah, like it's pretty creepy because like talking about him, it's like once you mention him, he starts acting up again.
Weird.
Yeah.
And he'll start hiding things because for a while my ring went missing.
Oh, strange.
For 2 months, and I was like freaking out.
Bob's jelly.
I was freaking out, and then Dakota's like, "Well, what'd you do? Did you put it back in your box?" And I was like, "It's nowhere." I was like, "It's not in the box." And then our fridge ended up going out, and he was like, "Man, let me check." And like the outlet wasn't plugged in, and he had to move the fridge, and it was underneath the fridge.
What the hell?
Wow.
That was creepy.
We had, I mean, one of the first times we spoke to Bob, because Dolores wanted to try it, is with the Spirit Box, SB11.
That got weird, man. That got really weird.
And Dakota's home sleeping, right?
He was at his dad's at the time.
Oh, okay, sleeping.
Yep.
And how did that go? I
Well,
remember you saying to go bother Dakota.
we were joking and saying like, "Go wake up Dakota," or like,
He
"Go
said-
bother his feet."
Yeah, he said go grab his feet.
And he said that all night he could not warm up his feet. He said they were freezing cold.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And then I remember when we kept talking to him, because I had sweats on that time, and there was like a Velcro pocket, and we just hear like something pulled it, remember? And we all looked, and I was like, "My pocket!" And I was like, "It touched my leg," and we like freaked out.
So I have a question of how, I guess, now this, we always get to this point somewhere, because it's just my thought process as I go through this process is the way, because biblically, I guess you can control, I'm not saying to do this, but
Yeah.
biblically you have dominion over demons, spirits. Is that somewhat tied into, I guess, nonchalantly even saying to go bother somebody
Without even
knowing it, realizing it? Is that a cause and effect to the spirit saying, "Okay, I'll go and do that because I'm..."
Maybe they're like, "Oh, I'll show you what I can do."
Right. Or it's saying like, because your words have weight, they have power, and you can either bring things to life in your life,
Because knowledge is power.
right? Or you can kill things. And this is something
more
I've-
you'll know.
Stupid. But this is what I'm saying with even entrepreneurs today. Like if you were to follow along, like this is what I've been looking into, because I always follow these guys anyways. One of the big things is thought conjuring or speaking things into existence. Jim Carrey did this. This is one of his big things. Is he wrote a check out to himself for $10,000 saying he's going to get that check, and he would say to himself all the time, and it happened. Same things with spirits. Is since you do have dominion over the spirits, and I believe that is it's either saved and not saved, because gifts were given to humanity, and that's without repentance. So you can have those gifts, like love is a gift, things of that nature. But saying things nonchalantly like that, is it possible that can have a cause and effect to a spirit and them going and actually doing things just because they're willed to, or they're pushed or compelled to?
Yeah,
Possible.
I think so.
And I think that's probably
Like I always even hear that, like, be careful what you say, because you can accidentally curse yourself or someone without even knowing it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. I mean, there's many stories out there. Someone saying they wish someone to have a heart attack or something, and then it happens.
Remember that one story Mom was telling us? They said there was a tornado, and that the wife and her kids were downstairs, and she kept freaking out because her husband was upstairs, and then he ended up passing away, and she like asked God like to show me what happened, and he was running around upstairs saying, "I'm gonna die."
Whoa! Oh,
So basically, he cursed himself.
Yeah, that can happen. I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah.
$1 million right here.
Write yourself a $1 million
Write a
check.
We're in the negative.
Stupid.
That's an interesting. I think that's an interesting thing to think about. Is because we know all these things, but when it comes back to the forefront of thinking that way along the lines of whether that's a haunting or certain things, is manifesting spirits in a way even with your words, and of course using a spirit box. And things
I think there is. I think there is. Like you can, tell them to do something and they'll do it, but you shouldn't do that. Like you should not do that.
It has,
and that's what I said too. And you said, I was like, don't do that because it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it happened.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, like having control over spirits or ghosts or this or that. There's people even around here that have medicine over spirits or ghosts,
right?
And they use that, and they, I hear that kind of stuff all the time. That certain people that live in certain places around here, they have that. That's their medicine,
right?
And it was kind of weird, like hearing that somebody in our family had the same thing, because I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought it was like, people say, oh, they have like owls are their medicine, or snakes are their medicine, or stuff like that. When they see them, it's like it's kind of like a good luck for them. It's even seeing them is like good luck for them,
right?
And so like hearing that ghosts are some people's medicines is kind of like what you were just saying, like you can control them in a way,
right?
And I wonder if that's kind of how it goes. You know what I mean?
And I think that it's just, I guess, to give awareness to your words actually do have power.
Yeah.
And the way you use them or formulate your thoughts, even, because your thoughts are the first thing that come. So when you're dealing with spiritual things, they start in your mind first, because that's where the battleground is, anyways. So when you're praying and things, and your mind's in this realm where it's not confined to you. You know what I mean? You're part of this whole like system, and they have plays there, and even thinking certain things and having negative thoughts, things of that nature, can manifest things.
So do you think that's like kind of almost having that kind of mindset when people are making dolls? Like back in those days, like even like you were talking about in Japan, when they make those dolls as a host for all those things to go in, they're basically telling it to go in this, and they're listening because
I think even if it wasn't their intention, I think even subconsciously though, they believe that the spirit's going to inhabit that, and they're going to send it on its way.
Kind of willing it in there,
right?
Or just hoping.
Probably just hoping, but I think even just hoping, that's what's happening. But I don't believe that's enough for a spirit to leave. It's not enough for a spirit to leave.
Yeah, no, because we've seen them fight.
Right, yeah, and they will hold
to
on.
stay in a person or a host or whatever they're trying to, attach themselves to. They like really fight.
Yeah.
Like I've seen crazy things with that. And just knowing that they're not always just going to be like, oh, okay, I'll go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, this doll? Okay. Go on the doll.
And they'll take anything. They'll take any sort of vacant object, whether it's a doll, famous story in the Bible, the pigs, animals. And the thing is, even if you don't believe you're participating in the supernatural, there are certain things in your life that can take place that can have effect on supernatural, that can also have an effect on your health or your finances, your, I guess, good luck, what people would put it. Things like divorce, cheating, things like that. They have a cause and effect in the spiritual, because they're in biblical realms, in spiritual realms, what the Christianity is, it's a covenant. So when there are things happening inside of the household with the family, it can cause tension with the spiritual, and then it can allow certain demons to come in and inhabit, whether that's the baby, because they can take the hold of the baby, because maybe they're not dedicated, or the parents aren't prayed up enough, or something like that, and they can inhabit children. Your animals, people have horror stories of their animals like walking backwards and sideways and things, and because the spirit has nowhere else to go but inside the animal. And dolls are probably one of the biggest ones I think they would attach themselves to. And like you said, they're trying to, they're human-like, but the spirit itself isn't human form. The spirit itself is a demonic entity that was there. They don't look human, but.
Like I was like kind of like when people say, oh, like this thing is haunted, like a necklace or a doll or something like that. Like when they say they inhabit them or whatever, I was trying to think, like when people say that, or they're saying this thing is living inside this, or are they just attached to it? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was thinking, like, maybe it's just something that's attached to, like, if something's attached to this doll, it's just always around this doll.
Right. It's
know?
like a trigger object.
Yeah. And the only movie I've ever seen that kind of showed that was Annabelle. When was it the beginning or whatever? Like when it's kind of her origin story.
Yeah.
Is when they saw her in the mirror, I think it was, and this demon was holding the doll.
Right.
Like
yeah.
it was just so creep. That part just kind of creeped me out. Like I watched that movie, I'm like, this is like, it's a pretty good movie, but like that part just kind of like, whoa, that was kind of got me out there because that's how I pictured it, being.
So we are going to. I mean, we'll get off the rails there for a little bit.
We always do.
Don't mind us. Just edit it all
It's
out.
unscripted.
But
Don't mind us, we're church kids.
Except for Cdale's script.
I know.
That he's holding.
I'm all point to Markus.
You just need to have bullet points to keep us on track.
I don't know. So
In the mic.
nobody knows what's happening. But I think we should get a little more ghost stories from you. And if you guys are on TikTok, Delores does do these ghost stories on TikTok, and her handle is Trembles Before Her.
Tremble before her.
Tremble before her.
On TikTok. On the talk.
On the talk.
On the tickety talk.
China. Oh, what?
Okay.
Dude, really quick though, do you remember, like I remember this, I even asked Mom about this, and she said she threw it away. That one porcelain clown she had.
The one that was on the swing?
Yeah, on the swing. And Dad just had to put it at the end of the hallway when you walk into the living room.
I hated
And that thing would be swinging by itself.
I just remember this.
Didn't it make noise?
No, it would just swing. It
Yuck.
sat there.
Because like
holding
the
swing.
ceiling fan wouldn't even be on,
Yeah,
and it'd just be
nothing.
going.
It would be sitting there, and you go try to get a drink of water in the middle of the night, and you have to walk past this clown.
She'd be trying to steal a pop, Marcus.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Anyway, I remember like
Sneaking beers.
I'll bring the beers.
I'll bring the beers.
But I remember this thing. She got it from Auntie Gladys, I think. And Dad hung it up in the living room, right by where our hallway was to go to the bedrooms.
Yeah.
And you'd have to walk by that thing if you ever go in the living room or to the bedroom. And I remember walking in there to get a drink of water or something. And,
Make a sandwich.
yeah, make a midnight Sammy.
I'm just gonna dub over every time it says water. Just beers. Walked into the kitchen, got beers.
You should.
But I remember walking in there, and this thing would just start swinging, like it would slowly start going.
That's so gross.
And it would actually get some momentum to where it was swinging pretty good. And it just had this creepy look on its face, like its eyes were low, and it would just have this smile. And this thing was like, what, about a foot tall? And it sat on the swing, and that thing just creeped me out, man. Yeah, but man, she had all these porcelain dolls and everything in the house.
Those were mine.
Well, yeah, she ended up giving you a bunch of them, but I remember she had a bunch of them. I know.
I want some of those porcelain. What happened to those porcelain
She
dolls?
has them still.
We have them in the,
they're all put away.
Yeah, in the
I
storage.
want a couple of those things.
Those things just used to, I didn't like them, man.
Those are mine.
That's right, yeah.
I'll give you the Snow White one.
I'll put it up. Yeah.
I know her eyes look red. They don't
Oh,
even look
yeah,
brown.
that's right.
They
Yeah.
look red.
Yeah.
I gotta take one of those things.
And I noticed she started putting more dolls are going up in Mom's house right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm starting to notice them like hanging on the walls.
Oh,
and
those
stuff.
are mine.
Those are yours?
Yeah.
Mark's trying to say Mom's going crazy.
Do you remember?
It's just Delores.
Coda gets me one every Valentine's Day.
A doll?
Yeah, a little native baby doll.
that's
yeah.
cool.
Do you remember her having that one doll? It was all decked out. Like it had
The one that you broke the fingers?
No, it had the wolf headdress.
I do remember that one.
And I remember it had like a hatchet, and this thing looked like Kurt Russell. Remember?
Yeah.
It looked like Kurt Russell in a
He's
headdress.
all ripped, just
Yeah, he was
standing
all
there.
ripped. But yeah, I think she
shoot.
gave that one away. I can't remember who she gave it to.
Because she had the male and then the female, too.
Yeah.
I remember those. Yeah.
And those things were tall.
Do you remember
What did I
when our neighbor brought over all of his dolls
Which one?
across the street?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
We messed with you with them.
I can't remember.
What was his
I
name?
probably tried to
Henry
block
Lewis.
that out.
Henry
Yeah.
Lewis. Ooh, remember his story is wicked.
Yeah.
You guys
we
can't talk
Well,
about that one.
Yeah,
I know.
we're not allowed to.
Yeah, we're not allowed to.
But yeah, that
Oh, that's true.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that. I probably
Well,
tried to
remember
block
you
it
guys seen him too, and he was already gone.
Yeah, we did. We saw him at by the fairgrounds.
And we never seen him without his sunglasses, and then you said he didn't have them on.
Yeah,
That's so weird.
yeah, I remember that.
But he was doing something was happening now that no, I think we'll probably cut this out. But now it makes sense.
Yeah,
He was doing something at the house, and he brought over all of his dolls
yeah.
and lined them all the way up, all the way down the hallway.
And they just smell like cigarette smoke.
Yeah.
And we would mess with you with them. You don't remember that?
No.
We would put that one at the with the arrow, right?
Yeah.
At your door like every day. It freaked you out at first. It freaked you out at first, and after a while, I think you caught on. But like, stop doing that. Then you just open the door and it's like
Just chilling there.
you can smell soldiers.
Yeah, the
remember
damn
that.
little people are moving it around.
I know. It's the little people.
Stole all your forks.
Oh my god. Okay,
I'm-
now what?
I don't remember what I was saying.
You were talking about a story here.
Oh, right.
And then
And then so let's go into another story of yours, whether that's Bob or you
one
had
of
an
the
ex-
ones you butchered about
Yeah,
my first paranormal
yeah,
experience.
Yeah. You had some experiences today
Oh yeah.
with Bob and the ghost that we've experienced here named Susan. Yeah. And if you guys
yeah.
Her
if you
voice
guys-
is creepy.
Right, if you guys
she's
listen to the podcast or watch us on Facebook, follow us on TikTok, anything, you guys know about this ghost because she's the one that says fallen hour.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we're speaking with, was it Necrophonic app or was
Yeah.
it? And
I have that
You had
audio
the
on my
SB11
TikTok.
going too.
yeah. And we weren't sure about this app. And this is like the huge thing about the Necrophonic app is it credible? Does it actually work? And we weren't sure. And we just paid for it. So like we might as well try it because she already had it. So we bought it here. And one of the first things we said was say fallen hour. And then it says
You
fallen
can hear
hour.
disembodied voices before it even says it too.
Yeah.
You can hear somebody say, did he say fallen?
Yeah.
It like whispers it.
Yeah, it said, did he say fallen?
Yeah.
And then you hear Susan basically scream fallen hour.
Yeah.
Twice.
It was
It-
twice.
she says it's so creepy too.
I know.
Say fallen hour. But I'll probably put that in this podcast here, and you guys can listen to that.
Yeah, I have it on
Do you?
Yeah.
here. You play it.
We're a little more up on tech dollars.
I know.
He's all, I don't know.
I don't know what the stuff's.
What am I doing here?
Like Ricky. Was it Ricky Bobby?
Ricky Bobby doesn't know do his hands.
And they're like way up here.
But let's go into what story jumps out at you.
Well, the one you guys butchered.
Let's go to that one.
Okay. So I had to have been about either 5 or 6 years old. And this was like the first experience I had by myself. And we all slept in the same room. It was that big room at the trailer. And I shared a bed with you. And we slept like my head was this way and your head was the opposite. And I remember waking up and you weren't there. And like I had a really bad dream. And I got up to go to mom's room. And so I like slid off the side of the bed. And just as I stood up, I heard you cough. And then I kind of like looked underneath to see like where that was coming from. And you were sitting at the edge of the bed and you were crisscrossed. And you had your back to me. And I said, Cdale, what are you doing? And you just shrugged and you're like, can't sleep. And you just turn your head like ever so slightly. And I was like, okay. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to sleep in here. I was like, I had a bad dream. I'm going to go sleep in mom's room. And you just nodded. And so I got up, and then before I went out the door, I like peeked down at you again, and you were facing me crisscross, and your smile, like you smiled at me and it was like freaking huge. And like me just being a little kid, like all I said was weirdo and then took off and ran down the hallway. And when I got to mom's room, you were laying by mom.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's always, for some reason, everyone has a doppelganger story of me.
It's you, man.
I know.
Something's wrong with you.
I think it's a you problem.
It sounds like a you problem.
Jessica had one. I was staying with her for a little bit, and I was working. Went to work, and she thought I was home because I think she just got home. She was working somewhere else, and she goes to the back room, and then she comes out of the bathroom, and she sees me at the end of the hallway walking towards the kitchen. So she's like, "Hey, Cdale," and she said I had on my trunks, and I had nothing else on. And she said, "Did you see the back of me? My hair is all messy and stuff." And I was walking. And she said she caught up to me and was trying to get my attention. And I think she even tapped me and said, "Hey, Cdale." And I was like, "We should do this," or whatever. And she said, why are you ignoring me? And I just kept walking like I was pissed off at her or something. And she said, I got enough speed to where I walked into my room and into my bathroom. Because she followed me into the room and she saw me go into the bathroom. And then she remembered I'm at work. And then I think she left the house from there. She didn't go check and see if I was in the bathroom or not. And I was like, oh my God, that's gross. I think one of her roommates had experience too, taking a picture and seeing me in the mirror, like my shape in the mirror. I have that picture. I sent it to some paranormal group a long time ago.
That's ugly.
I remember being Gloria seeing you before.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
In that house on Cody. Because I don't know, we were up real late. It was probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. And we were making tea. And then we're just being real loud laughing. And we heard someone coming up those stairs. And so we went and peeked down. And for some reason, like we got like this ugly feeling. Because when we went and looked, you were just standing there glaring at us. And we screamed. And so we went into my room. And we didn't come out for like 10 minutes. And then we come out. And then we're still freaked out, like kind of like hysterical. And like, what the hell was he doing? Like he didn't even say anything. And like you were wearing a like a baseball type shirt.
Yeah.
And but it said like Ford on it. And I was like, I don't even remember him owning a shirt like that.
Ford.
I know. And like, so we just kept like making our tea, whatever. And then we heard you coming up again. And this time you were wearing that Led Zeppelin shirt.
Oh.
And then like you looked at us and like you were just normal and it was you. And we screamed at you and we ran in my room and you're like, what the hell's your problem? And like, but we didn't speak to you for like 2 weeks after that. And you're like, what's the matter? And then we finally told you. And you're like, I didn't change my shirt or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Me and Delores have this shared experience of
Is it the closet?
No, this is the tell that one. But this is the one where we stayed up all night, remember that? And this is the trailer before we moved to Hardin. So this room was like a corner room and it had no door on it. And it had a window on the side, and that's where we had a projector and stuff, and a projector room. And me and Delores had this bed on the floor, and heard Dad's alarm go off. So I think we thought maybe he's gonna get pissed off at us and tell us to go to sleep, which he stopped doing later on, which is kind of weird to us. But so we thought maybe let's put that blanket or that bed up. It was like the weekend, so we put the bed up and we got underneath it, so we can see his feet coming out, so we can avoid him going to work. And it's the weirdest thing in the world, but I think his door was shut. Nobody's out in the living room, nobody's in the kitchen. It's just me and Delores under that bed, and all we hear is
It was like really loud.
Yeah, and we looked at each other like, what the hell was that? And I think what the hell, we jump out of there when we're freaking out, like there's nobody in there. It was a man though that just did that noise.
But he like didn't come out of the room, so we're like, what the hell?
It's like, why would he even do that though if he did?
But we always talk about that and just do that stupid noise.
Oh, that's funny.
Maybe I'll just dub Markus's water over that. Go to the kitchen, get the closet.
Well, all I remember is Mom praying, because that closet, like it was the sliding door, the green doors, and it was shaking, like rattling really bad, because those things were metal. They were heavy.
They were metal.
and like it was shaking. It sounded like something was in there, and Mom was telling it to get out and to leave, and she started praying, and she was like speaking in tongues and stuff, and this door was going crazy, and me and Cdale were freaking out, crying. And what's stupid is I was thinking it was the purple hippopotamus she always warned us about. She's like, there's a purple hippo in there, don't go in there. And so we would never go in there, and I was like, what the hell's a hippopotamus? When I was little, didn't know what it was.
What's a hippopotamus? Yeah, we've asked.
I remember her doing that a few times.
Yeah.
And like even in the bathroom, something was going on in there. And I remember her yelling at it to get the hell out of the house.
I remember being in the bathroom, and for some reason I was sitting on the ground or something.
Yeah.
And Mom was trying to help me with something. I was like freaking out or something. I don't remember. But I remember I was crying, I think. And I hear Mom saying, "What's the matter?" And she comes walking by the bathroom, but she walks past the bathroom into the living room.
Yeah.
But she has her hair up, and she's wearing that big old tie-dye shirt she used to wear a long time ago. Mm-hmm. She was wearing that, but to me, when I remember it, is she was almost see-through when I seen her. But I think when I was a kid, I thought maybe it was because my eyes were blurry or something from crying. Mm-hmm. But after she walked by, she walked in and held me. And that freaked me out.
I was scared of Mom after that.
Yeah. I told her that one. We told her the one about the closet too, and she says she doesn't remember.
Really?
Mm.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I think you lie.
You think you'd remember that.
You're protecting us.
You're protecting us, yeah, no. I think she does. She remembers.
Yeah.
Yeah. She just don't want to talk about it.
Why does it keep doing that?
What was that?
It just took a picture of you?
Press play again, or press record.
It's recording.
What the heck?
It says recording, but it looked like it just snapped a picture.
What is it
did
doing?
It again.
He's here.
It's taking pictures.
What the heck?
It's still recording.
What the heck is going on?
Look.
Hold on.
It's taking another. It did it again.
What the heck?
And we are recording still.
You know, those are in the background.
Mm.
Oh my god!
Might as well pose.
No, like this. What is going on? It's gonna take another picture.
What is it doing?
Like I saw the shutter.
Oh my god!
I saw the shutter go like this.
Creepy.
This happens, like a lot.
This hasn't happened in a long time.
This
hasn't
alone
happened.
never
Yakish
happened.
was Bob. All right.
I know. Okay.
Make love to the camera.
It's all yes.
Austin Powers style. No. That is strange.
Hell? That is
Why
so
does it keep
taking
creepy.
pictures
I
of
don't
you?
like this.
I'm hoping that's
like-
recording.
That's taking pictures of you. Why is it
And you
doing
can
that?
just hear. I know.
It's like with these dolls in the background. That's so weird to me. Did it just shut off? That shut off, didn't it?
What on earth? Let me shut it off.
Oh, okay.
Let me shut that one off, and then make sure that we're actually getting pictures.
Okay.
It does sound like it's taking pictures.
It is. I
it's
saw the
like
shutter.
going. What the hell?
Shut it off. Yeah, I told you this kind of weird stuff happens when we start talking about this.
That's ugly.
Like what I was saying, like it kind of like this is kind of like one thing that we're talking about. Like if you talk about these things,
Yeah,
you'll
they like.
start-
Well, remember Dad would say
even
that
Dad
too.
said don't do that. You know, don't
Yeah.
even talk about it because then it kind of brings them out.
That is so.
I'll go
That
through
was eerie as
I'll go through
hell.
Is that still recording?
Yeah, I'll go through it on the video, and then I'll see if it's working. If it did take pictures.
That was weird.
That was terrifying. Because it wouldn't stop.
Was it recording?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Go home and cry myself to sleep on my huge pillow.
And you did say that Bob gets active, and of all cameras, it picks the one that's trained on Delores.
I know.
I told you guys, he loves me.
That was weird.
That is scary.
We've never had that happen.
That never happened.
We've had things happen, but not that.
Like even that shot glass flying out of
Shot
the
gas.
Yeah.
flying out of the sink. Our equipment going crazy. He even has a weighted gnome. You know those door stoppers, those weighted ones? They're real
Yeah.
heavy on the bottom. It literally like stage dive off that when we were sitting here talking and Aaron was here, and this thing just jumps off that bookshelf.
What the heck, man? That
And
was
it can't
creepy. It
because
gave me
it's
an ugly
like
feeling.
It did, I know.
it can't because it was weighted on the bottom, so it just somehow jumped off. Like it's bottom heavy. There's no way it would. You know, yeah, like me. Okay.
No, Mark's not bottom heavy.
Yeah, you don't have a butt.
Not with them cheeks.
He has like 3 belts on right now.
I know.
He's got padded underwear.
Gross.
Okay, all right.
The kind the cops wear.
I know.
Okay, I know. They're just his butt cheeks sticking out of the.
Okay.
Woo!
That was so eerie.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like when we start talking about this stuff, something starts happening. It's that's what we were kind of like experimenting too. We set up equipment when we were talking to even DC O'Rourke from Hauntingly Yours. We had equipment set up in there. We did the same thing when we talked to Russell Suneagle from Okie Podcast and Spirit Talkers.
Yeah.
And even I think Eric Freeman Sims. I think it even happened when we talked to him from Unseen Paranormal.
Did I put his podcast out?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I was just editing it. Just
yeah,
now.
you're just editing
Okay.
it. Yeah,
You liar.
I was.
I know he kind of just banked all of those. Like he literally just put the one out with Tina Marie Celine.
Yeah,
and that was like a year ago.
Yeah, like 2 years ago. I think.
Yeah, it was a year ago.
Was it a year ago?
Yeah,
When you
we were like banking.
skinnier, different hairstyle. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, like even
Start
it even
doing-
happened when we were talking to God. It even happened when we were talking to Miranda Young, Ghost Biker, and this see that scarf?
Oh, that's right, the scarf.
The scarf was hanging a little lower than that, and when we were talking to her, we had the whole setup right here, and that scarf starts literally like somebody picks up and he's going like this.
Ew.
It started flopping around like that. And you catch a reaction on the video because like she's like, you know, what's going on? And we told her, and even Peanut, you know, your dog would sit here and bark in this corner at this painting and everything. Would bark at this corner.
Yeah, we moved it. It was here, and she would sit at the edge of the bed, and she would bark at it. Everybody told you about that? Mm-hmm. Towards the painting. We moved it, and then she started barking over here and growling at it. I always have to make sure that I actually see, not that I'm going crazy or anything, but actually make sure that it's actually... I have to make sure that I see them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, I mean, I'm in the corner of my eye when I see them. Autumn does the creepiest look around the corner, man. I mean, she'll, like, do this.
Like, she doesn't, like, just look at you. She, like, goes like this.
Ew.
All the time.
And you
like
have to make sure
tiny.
it's a child. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got to make sure all the time. When it happens, I make sure that I go and make sure it's them.
Yeah.
Like that other day, yelling at him to see who it was. Seeing the shadow in the doorway. But yeah.
Yeah, we even had his equipment set up in the kitchen away from us, away from everybody, and they would start his like static, like, you know, it started going off, you know, and your meter started going nuts on the table. We had all kinds of stuff like that happen. Even Russell had stuff going on at his house, remember?
Yeah.
And we were like, trying to see if it was us or him because we heard a girl's voice, footsteps, everything. The camera even started shaking like somebody was walking by it. All kinds of stuff going on when you talk about this stuff. And we kind of started experimenting with that. We started setting up, you know, equipment to see if that's, you know, if that was true. Mm-hmm. And we started catching all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we had something happen with Walt too, where our meters
right.
were going off here.
Yeah.
What?
Your light.
Oh, it's candle effect.
Oh, yeah. I was like
that's
what?
terrifying.
Just play into it. Ah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like I was waiting for something.
Yeah, I know, scary.
I started getting like creepy vibes over here, so I kept kind of glancing.
Well, I mean, they're all staring at you.
I know they're all staring at me.
It doesn't help that it's Chucky, too.
So I'm like waiting for it to turn.
That was like off of a movie.
That was terrifying.
It just started.
It just singles out somebody. You can't help them.
I know. Just sitting here like, what the fuck?
Yeah, just literally
Intervene
started
here.
snapping pictures. I wanted to see how long it would go.
It was
It
going.
wouldn't stop.
It just kept going.
Oh, it's so strange.
I know my
new.
heart dropped because I realized that camera or that microphone's over there. If we pick something up,
Oh my god, you cut it off.
Man,
you shut it
I
off.
cut it off, man.
He shut it off,
I shut it off. I should just let it go. Yuck, we heard it in here.
I know.
I'm around the corner.
That's ugly.
Oh,
The shot looks great.
you look fantastic.
Oh wow, that's new.
They had me telling a story before. We were recording it, but we cut the camera off because remember the spirit box, it started laughing.
Oh, that's right.
And it wouldn't stop, and it sounded like it was just repeating.
That is ugly.
And like we all freaked out, and I think Alethea shut it off.
That's ugly.
And she's like, maybe we need to change batteries. And I was like, yeah, maybe. Something.
You know, like I wasn't gonna say anything about this. Like I was gonna ask you if there was anything going on at the house over there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there is.
Is there?
There has been.
I looked in the kitchen, and it looked like a shadow, but it was like really dark. Like I thought it would look like something.
So like a shadow.
Cloth, like
like a shadow.
Way to explain a shadow.
Something cloth like is like this is how dark it was.
Oh,
Oh my god!
wrong one. Hold on.
That one fit.
Okay, anyway, but it looked like it was really dark.
The laughing.
Can't even get through this.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, but I was gonna ask if there was anything
Shadow,
happened
yeah.
lately. Because the other day, I can't remember what day it was last week sometime, but I remember I was sitting in the living room and I looked toward the kitchen, and you know, from the kitchen side, there was a cup sitting there. It was a taller cup, and it looked like something cloth because it was so dark. It looked like somebody threw something and it hit that cup, and that cup went like this. It like rocked, and I can hear it go like that. But nothing was on the table, like nothing fell. It was just something black hit that cup, and that cup started rocking. And I stood there for a minute. I didn't look away. I just kept watching, and I got up and looked, and there was nobody in the kitchen. So I was wondering if there was, did something happen?
There has been. Well, because things kind of picked up when Al was staying there.
Yeah.
And remember, he's always like, oh, I always invite all that in.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm like, man, you're so stupid to do something like that. And like, Cdale.
Yeah.
But
like I said, the Cdale.
But I remember one day I was downstairs in the kitchen and I was cooking something for the kids, and Al was in the living room, and I could hear Briseis and Cassius that are like at the bottom of the stairs, I guess, but I didn't know. But it sounded like something ran down the stairs, like really heavy, and then we hear a loud boom upstairs in my room.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this.
And I freaked out because I thought one of them fell, and Al was just looking up at the ceiling.
Yeah.
And the ceiling fan, like the things that hang down, were swinging. And I said, oh my God, like, are the kids okay? And he's like, the kids are fine. They're right there. And he's like, that came from your room.
That's ugly.
And so I went up there because I thought, like, oh my God, like Zelda.
Yeah.
And so I ran up there, and she was just in her room. She was on her bed.
Which
like,
is
watching,
on the opposite side.
Yeah, watching her iPad.
Yeah.
And I asked her if she heard it. She said no. Her iPad was blaring. So I went into my room because I was thinking like, oh, like maybe one of my Chucky dolls fell, because that one, his box is huge and it's heavy. Yeah. So I thought like maybe something knocked it over, like one of the cats or something. And I went in there and there was nothing, like nothing amiss in my room at all.
Weird.
That is strange. And I know like things happened in that house before. Mm-hmm. Like I remember even Dad telling me a story. Like he said that he was watching TV.
Oh, I have the ugly one.
Dad was watching TV. He is laying in his bed, and the way the room is set up, there's a walkway like right in front, in between the TV. There's a dresser there, going around to the other side of the room, and the doorway is on his side. Mm-hmm. And he said he was watching TV, and he thought it was Andre. He said somebody was crouched down. You could see their head and their back, and he said it crouched down, and it came in, and it walked. He literally watched it walk across on the other side of the bed toward Mom's side, where there's no way to get out on that side. He said he went that way, and he asked, "What are you doing?" And he said it was like 3:00 in the morning. He said, "What are you doing?" And he got up and he walked. Basically, he would trap him in there.
Well, remember you said he started yelling Andre.
Yeah, Andre. He was yelling at him, and he walked around. There was nothing over there. And he said he stood there for a minute, kind of taking that in, and he walked out and went to check on everybody, and everybody was sleeping.
There was a second point of view to that.
Why?
Yeah.
There's the second point of view to that was Dakota was going upstairs and he could hear Dad yelling Andre, and he Dakota just now got done checking on Andre and Kalia, and they were asleep. And he came upstairs and he was like, I think your dad's losing it. I was like, why? And he told me. And then you ended up telling me that story, and I was like, oh my God.
He didn't want to tell anybody.
I was like, that was that same night.
He told me, and he said, don't say anything. But he said, this happened last night. And he told me about it, and I was like, that is ugly.
Ugh.
Like, that was gross,
Dad
man.
sent us off with another story.
I know. I was
Like,
just wow.
That is horrifying.
Like just a month ago, I had something happen, and it freaked me out, and something happened to Dakota at the same time. And I woke up, and it was 3:00 in the morning, and I went to go downstairs, use the bathroom, and then go check on Mom and Dad. And so I go downstairs, and Dakota, he turns around to face the wall, and something started rubbing his back. And he thought he fell asleep for a second, and I came back, and he turned around, and I wasn't there. And so he laid on his back, and he turned his phone on. And he was just sitting there waiting for me to come back upstairs. But what happened to me downstairs...
Like he turned the light on his phone?
Yeah. What happened to me downstairs is I come out of the bathroom, and just as I hit that first step, I hear something tap on the wall, by Mom's room. And I look, and I see a little boy peeking out at me. And my first thought is it's Cassius, my son. And I was like, what are you doing? And then I started walking towards it, and it went back in, and then you could hear it run towards Mom's side, and that's where they go hide all the time.
Yeah,
and I went in there, and there was nothing there.
The kids go hide there.
Yeah. But I went in, there was nothing there.
That is terrifying.
Yeah, the thing that creeped me out was when he told me that one that was Andre, because he said, they keep some snacks over there. In one of those, the cookies and stuff in one of those drawers.
What are those, Goosebumps?
He thought he was going over to try to sneak in there and get that in the middle of the night. And nothing was there. And that creeped me out, man.
He's got to freaking feed it syrup.
I know.
Like that thing that lives in the walls.
What are you talking about?
Goosebumps.
You sound insane right now.
Oh, shoot. Oh, there's only another story that gives me that ugly feeling like that. Did you hear that? Was that you?
Was that you?
That wasn't me.
Turn that mic off over there.
Why?
Because I could hear it sound like
someone going,
yeah. And I looked at, she was facing away from the mic.
The chair slides. No, I'm just kidding.
I know. Faces the mic.
Yeah, just shut that mic off.
No, I need that. I make sure.
I need that mic.
You got the camera. You're freaking out. What do you mean?
Now I'm thinking I see stuff over there.
It's that light flickering.
Yeah. So you said that another story that...
Right. So there's another story that Alethea told me. That's the only other one that gives me that feeling of
just...
You can't do nothing about that feeling. You know what I mean? It's it's deep. But,
like a burp.
Right. So they have this story. She used to work at a nursing home, and
oh yeah, I know. What
nursing home had this thing about I think it was they would see a little girl all the time, and it would always go and into people's rooms, and before they pass away, they'd see this little girl, and the residents would always ask about this little girl. But this one story in particular, these nurses were in this room, and the resident was asking, whose feet is that? Whose feet are over there? And they said, nobody's over there. And there's a curtain there. And she said, someone's behind there, and they have really ugly feet.
Yuck.
And that night, that lady passed away.
Oh yeah, my gosh.
And then when she told me that, my God,
the way she described the feet, that
yeah,
so like your feet?
Yeah, like demon feet, and just not mine. I mean,
hey, L's. Just kidding.
We've got to do a SpongeBob pan to Markus.
Oh yeah, it's always ugly ass feet with a bunch of hair all over.
Yeah, that one creeped me out.
That's weird.
What, you heard the breathing over there?
Yeah.
That mic. You had to turn it on.
I have a good one. It always gets stuff started. Just kidding. Okay, so when we lived in Crow by the water tower, do you remember them saying that someone died in that house and it was a kid who drowned?
I heard that before, yeah.
And it was that big, huge tub in the master bathroom.
It was almost like a hot tub size, yeah.
Yeah. So this story involves you too, because like you caught me when I was freaking out. But I was talking on the phone with one of my friends that I was sitting outside on the back porch, and like behind where Lucy's our old dog, like where her house was, and like she had passed away by then.
Rest in peace.
I know. But there was like a bunch of that little field that was back there, that little mini field, and it was like tall grass, like nobody cut it.
Yeah.
And I kept seeing like that grass move every now and then. Like I was thinking like, oh, maybe it's a cat or a dog, whatever. And I just kind of like paid no mind to it. And the more I was talking to my friend, like this thing was like moving closer, like whatever it was. And I was like, what the heck? And like, I started to notice that I could see like a face coming through. And when I finally like started paying attention to it, it was a little girl crawling like this. And
Yuck.
When her face finally kind of come through, there's a little bit of grass still like in front of her. She was blue.
Ugh.
She was puffy, and you could see all like the veins in her face.
Like somebody had drowned.
Yep, and she looked wet, like soaking wet.
That is gross.
And when I seen that, like she smiled, and I just took a deep breath, and I couldn't even scream, and I just threw the phone and I ran.
Go ahead.
Oh, I ran into the house.
Yeah.
And I remember you were asking me what's the matter, because I came running in, and like I ran into you. And I said, I left the phone. The phone's outside. And you're like, well, why would you leave the phone outside? Like, all stupid. And so I, like, just me freaking out. You're like, what happened? And I wouldn't tell you. And then you're like, here, come on. And, like, we went to the back door to get it. And I was like, by then I was, like, hysterical, like, thinking it was going to be outside. And then you, like, just grabbed it and ran inside.
Ugh, my God, that's ugly. Yeah, I remember you telling me that once.
It was just
creepy.
I hate thinking about it because, man, she looks so scary.
Well, that was an eventful night.
That was. I think we should do this again.
I got a lot of stories.
Whenever you guys are free.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow. If you guys are up for it.
How long was this one?
About over an hour, I think.
Yeah, okay.
She's open, if you're open.
Yeah.
We can release a 2-parter on Halloween.
Yeah, we can do that.
So,
it's gonna be like a lot of quick editing.
Right. With that being said, take a shot. Delores.
Water.
Water shots. But so this is our Halloween episode, and this is going to be a 2-parter, and hopefully we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. But
no promises.
We are going to get back on schedule because I do want to start putting out more monthly, because we have been on hiatus. We've been dealing with life for the past year or so. A lot of things happened, but I think now that our schedules are probably more cleared up. So once a week, maybe Laura's being able to stable the podcast, see how things go, feel her out a little bit. But next episode, I think we should look into more of those exorcisms and things like nature. Keep it with the Halloween-y feel. Well, that's ghost stories, things like that, stories we're hearing.
Yeah.
Just look around,
okay.
See what we can find. Your Halloween just got a little Halloweener.
He says that every year.
It's a Voss Burgers. Well, my name is Cdale Enick. This is Markus, and tonight's guest, our little sister, Delores Bahr.
Stop doing that.
And you're listening to Fallen Out Radio.
Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. Of all the wonders that I have heard, the one that seems to me most strange is that men should fear death, for death, a necessary end, will come when it will come.